In the kingdoms of Rise, where the battles are grand, Daddy Furious sat with a dick in his hand. Oh, that is the wrong poem. Hold on a minute. God damn. Where is the right? There we go. In the land of kingdoms, where wallets do bleed, Daddy Furious shined, obsessed with his needs. Look at my Philip, a beast on the field, a juggernaut forged, who refuses to yield. His marches are swift, his buffs too strong, every step forward, a goddamn war song. Daddy's wallet had bled, but he didn't care. For glory and gems, made a magnificent pair. He maxed out the skills, with a touch and a click. Long-term investments, deliberate, tick. First skill, deadly. Expertise, divine. Philip's open field is purely refined. He carves through the armies, like a blade through silk. A storm of destruction, as smooth as butt cheeks and milk. Daddy gazed with pride as battles got cold. He's Philip the terror of Rise of Kingdoms world. A commander so fierce, even gods take heed. Marching like thunder, a masterpiece of speed. His talents were perfect, his pair in place. With gear fit for war, and a merciless pace. Philip cut through foes, like wheat in the sun. Victory was certain, before battles began. With Daddy's devotion, Philip ascended, his name on the field forever defended. True strategy, money, and tactical grace, they built an empire no foe could displace. So raise your cups high to this god among men, Philip the Magnificent, king of the pen. With Daddy Furious guiding his fate, they conquered the world in unstoppable state. What is up, guys? It's your boy Daddy Furious, aka your in-game daddy, and I maxed Philip to use him with my, what's his name, Arthur Pendragon. Now obviously there are better pairings for Philip, for example archers, who benefit the most from his skills, because he gives archers health, he gives infantry defense, and he gives cavalry the least lovable stat, which is attack, which is fine by the way, because attack increases skill damage and overall damage that you do to the enemy, which is fine, but I prefer to have defense or health for my cavalry, but again, it is fine. I also like the damage. So, the reason I'm not pairing him with my Zhuge Liang, for example, is because my Zhuge already has a pair, and he is Hermann Prime. And the reason I'm not pairing him with Liu Che, for example, is because my Liu Che already has a pair, and he is CP Prime, right? So that leaves me with only cavalry, which I was missing a pair, or a good march at least. So as you guys know, I was using 𝒟𝒹 for a long time, and it was time to bench him, right? It was time to tell him like, get the fuck out of here, boy. So technically, I benched 𝒟𝒹, and I got Philip, but technically, I benched two commanders and got Philip instead. So I benched 𝒟𝒹, and I benched William. Yeah, my 5551 William, that I loved him so much, but Philip offers me better buffs, so I went with Philip, and instead of William, I went with Belisarius Prime, who also gives me nice buffs. But unfortunately, he doesn't have AoE, but it is fine because he increases my overall damage, and that is what's very important for me in a 𝒟𝒹𝓐 fight. So yeah. So now you guys might wonder, Daddy Furious, how is it possible that you bench two commanders for one commander? Like the mass is not massing. Well, my last lineup was 𝒟𝒹 with Belly Prime, then Hugh Cubing with William, and Nevsky with Arthur, right? That was my last lineup. But I changed it, I benched William and 𝒟𝒹, and my new lineup is now Philip with Arthur, Hugh Cubing with Belly Prime, and Nevsky with Juan Prime. So that's literally my new lineup, and I love it so much, and I think it is the best lineup that I can have. And in the previous video I explained why Arthur is very good if he is paired with Philip, when Philip is primary and Arthur is secondary, so Arthur can focus his skill damage and not do combo damage, because I don't have a good delta formation or a good arch formation for my cavalry. So yeah, I prioritized wedge formation, so I chose wedge formation for Philip, and I gave him my cavalry gear, and I set his talent tree to a single troop, right? So not to mix troop, because his leadership, not mix, only to a single troop, which I also showed in the last video, but I'm going to show it again in this video so you guys can copy it for yourself. And one of you asked me, if Philip is primary, then does he need to have leadership gear? No, not if you're using a single troop type, like only cavalry or only infantry or only archers with Philip. In that case, you should use the gear that benefits that troop type, right? However, if you're using mixed troop types, then in that case, you should have leadership gear. Other than that, you don't need to have it. And also Philip has a trick where he gives you 15% extra march speed when you're using a single troop type like me, and it is a pretty good one. So as you can see in the third skill description, when you run 2 different troop types with Philip, you receive 15% less damage and you have 15% more march speed. Whereas if you run only 1 troop type with Philip, then you're gonna do 30% more damage, and I prefer to have that, but I can also have the 15% march speed, at least until I engage into battle. So here's how the trick goes. You want to bring a march out and set your Philip with 1 single T1 troop. In my case, I'm using him as cavalry, so I'm going to choose a single T1 infantry troop. And now if you go to the troop composition, we can see that it is no longer a single troop, it is now 2 troop type, which makes him mix, and gives us that 15% march speed bonus and 15% damage taken reduction, at least for the first turn inside the battle, and you'll see how. So now we are going to decimate this barbarian to pieces, and then check out the battle log. My friend, you're a sacrifice for the greater good. Right, it is done. So now if you go to the troop composition, we can see it is no longer mix, it is now a single troop type. That is because in a battle, the weakest troops always die first. For example, if somebody is attacking your city, the weakest troops always die first and they go to the hospital first. So T1, T2 and T3, they go to the hospital and they fill up your hospital space. So there won't be enough space for your T4 or T5 troops, which is a bad thing. So the first thing you want to do is to take out your weakest troops out of your city first, and then let your city fight with its strongest troops against a rally or against a swarm on your city. This is just the logic that also applied here when we attacked that barbarian. So once again, keep in mind, this is skill. 2 troop types, you get 15% march speed and 15% less damage. Single troop type, you do 30% more all damage. Now keeping that in mind, we go to the battle log and we can see the first turn. There we go. We have 35% march speed and 15% damage taken reduction. That is the first turn. And now we go to the second turn where that T1 troop died, and here we get 30% more all damage and the march speed turned into 20% instead of 35%. So that effect goes away, and instead we get the original effect of having 1 single troop type. So this is literally an amazing effect to have temporarily, at least when you have an objective and you want your Philip to go there as fast as possible, and once it is there, this effect will die, and instead you will get the original effect of 30% more damage, which everyone wants to have. I hope I explained about this as good as possible. Obviously, I did not come up with this by myself. I found out about it. Jesus Christ, I cannot speak. I found out about it today on Discord, so I just decided to share it with you for those who haven't seen it, and I think some other content creators have already talked about it as well. So shout out to them as well. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up this video. This is my reason to invest on Philip, and the reason you should invest on Philip or in Philip as well. I forgot English, and it means this is the time to wrap up the video. So I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, take care and peace out. Got it, Furious.